In this episode, we're going to cover a topic called franchising. You may have heard of the term before, but what exactly is a franchise? What's franchising and how does it all work? Franchising is when a business or brand owner, known as the franchisor, sells the rights to use its name, branding, logo, and the right to sell its product to another business, known as the franchisee. The franchisee will usually have to invest some money by paying what is called a franchise fee to the franchisor. This will give them the right to operate under the franchisor's brand, but only in line with what the franchisor stipulates in an agreement called the franchise agreement. Buying into a franchise can be a really good way to start a business, as it's a way into having an established brand and a business model that's already proven to work. And if you were to look at the McDonald's restaurant chain, less than 10% of their 40,000 stores around the world are actually owned by McDonald's. Because over 30,000 McDonald's restaurants worldwide are franchises, where a local entrepreneur has decided to start up a restaurant using the McDonald's brand and serving McDonald's products. And all of these franchise restaurants look and feel exactly like all the other McDonald's. In fact, you wouldn't know the difference when you're buying your Big Mac or your McPlant. But they are different, insofar as they're run under a franchise agreement, which details exactly how everything must be done, from the till setup to the decoration in store, staff uniforms, food preparation, presentation, and of course, pricing. Franchising is one of the ways that McDonald's has been able to grow seriously big and really quickly. It's a great example of a franchise business that's worked really well.
Let's take a closer look at an example of a franchise from the point of view of both the franchisor and then the franchisee. Simply Clean is a patio cleaning business which was set up by Mr. John Clean. John started the business when he was just 15 years old, and he grew it pretty quickly in his hometown of Manchester. John did all the branding and all the marketing to begin with, and he was cleaning patios all around his neighbourhood. John had some big ambitions to grow his patio cleaning business. He ideally wanted to grow the business beyond Manchester, but as he was the only person working in the business at the time, and he had a limited amount of time, he simply didn't have the bandwidth to consider growing in another city. Now, John had an old friend called Alistair, who was living in Glasgow at the same time. Alistair also wanted to start his own business, but he wondered if he could do the same thing as John, but just in a different city. Alistair wasn't that creative and didn't have the time to start an entire business from scratch. So Alistair asked John if he could start a Simply Clean business in Glasgow as a franchise. John and Alistair would both enter into a franchise agreement, with John as the franchisor and Alistair as the franchisee. Alistair agreed to pay John an initial fee of £150 for the franchise in Glasgow, and for that Alistair would get the rights to use the Simply Clean name and logo, training on how to clean patios properly, and the rights to advertise and promote the Simply Clean business across the city of Glasgow. As part of the agreement, Alistair would also be required to buy his cleaning products from John, and John would make a profit on these sales, so it's great for him too. Buying into John's franchise made a lot of sense for Alistair. He'd be buying into an already successful and well-regarded brand, but he could also run the Simply Clean business in Glasgow all on his own. He'd be allowed by John to use the Simply Clean name, the Simply Clean products, and take part in a training program that will show him how to get exceptional Simply Clean results. Alistair could also use the Simply Clean logo on his van, on his uniform, on his website, and in any other marketing material he wanted to use. So in this example, John Clean is franchising the Simply Clean business to Alistair, making John the franchisor, and Alistair, the franchisee. The franchisor is the person who owns the brand, and the franchisee is the person who effectively rents the brand to build his own business. Now, John had these grand ambitions as the franchisor to grow in other places beyond Manchester and Glasgow. And with one franchisee under his belt in Glasgow, John set about developing his grand plans. John's now realised that growing Simply Clean as a franchise is a great way to grow. He's got an ambition to make sure that everyone's patio is as sparkling as it can be as a result of Simply Clean. And John now has over 85 franchises across the UK, and he considers himself the biggest patio cleaner in the country. Franchising can be attractive for both sides, the franchisor and the franchisee.
Well, we franchised in Japan. Now, I don't necessarily want to run a business in Japan. I've got lots going on here in London, but it was a way that the company could grow without having to commit lots of people and resources moving all the way to Japan for that. So we have a franchisee in Japan. She has 3 stores and operates them very successfully. She's changed our product, and in the earlier years we were helping her develop product for the Japanese market. Often different countries around the world have customers with very different tastes and preferences. So using a franchisee who has local knowledge of those markets can be very, very successful. When we opened in Japan, I was invited to the opening, and I went there and I trained all the team. So I had about 15 Japanese boys and girls, and they were all sat there, and I said, "Hi, I'm Mr. Lola," and I drew up what a cupcake was, and there were queues of customers outside the door waiting to come in, and it was just madness. And in Japan, when they open stores, their suppliers deliver beautiful bouquets of flowers, massive bouquets of flowers. It's a total culture shift from what we have here in the UK, but it was amazing to support them on that journey. And I think the relationship between the franchisee and the franchisor, being the company Lola's and its franchisee in Japan, is really important. The closer that bond, the more successful they're going to be in Japan, and the more successful therefore we will be here.
I have considered franchising my brand, but to be honest, I'm such a control freak that I've never trusted the process.
One reason I'd say to consider franchising or getting involved with a franchise is largely the opportunity to get a foot in the door. Now, entrepreneurship is a difficult journey, and it's very, very competitive if building your own product or service. But working under an existing brand gives you the sense and safety net of that brand, whilst having the freedom and implementation as an entrepreneur.
If you want to get into business quickly and are happy working to grow someone else's business idea, brand and logo, then franchising can be really great. There's almost always a license fee that the franchisee will pay to the franchisor when they start, and a clear set of rules that you'll have to follow in the franchise agreement. But franchising can get you quickly established in business and give you the opportunity to enjoy many of the benefits that entrepreneurship brings. Lots of big household names operate as franchises, and in considering how your business may grow one day when you want to expand into new areas, franchising is a route that should certainly not be off the menu. Think about whether the business you're in the process of creating could be extended by way of franchising at some point in the future. And if you haven't come up with an idea of what your business should be yet, maybe take a look at what franchises are out there. There are loads online, and there may be opportunities that could be of interest just for you.